This is Father Dominic Holtz coming to you from Rome, Italy, with a word of hope for the Octave Day of Easter Sunday. In today's Gospel, we hear the famous story of doubting Thomas, the apostle who wasn't there on that first day of the week, which is to say Easter Sunday, when the rest of the apostles saw the risen Lord. So, again, famously, Thomas, who's called doubting in the common tradition, said that he would not believe that they had seen the risen Lord until he saw him with his own eyes and touched him with his own hands, saw the prints in his hands and in his side, that is, the wounds that he received, to know it was truly his friend and Lord Jesus Christ. Now we know, as the story turns out, Jesus does come on the 8th day, which we remember this on the 8th day, the closing of the Easter octave. And Jesus does appear to him in an act of mercy, and reminds him, however, that blessed is he indeed to believe, but more blessed those who believe without seeing as he saw. We see a pattern then, a pattern in the gospel. We might like to believe that we would come to know Jesus because he would appear to us individually. It certainly might seem easier that way if the whole point of the gospel is to believe in Jesus Christ, whom the Lord sent, whom the Lord his Father sent into the world. It would be easier if he could just appear to each one of us and say, "Hello, here I am, the risen Lord." After all, the Apostle John, who had seen the risen Lord and did believe, in fact, believe when he even saw the empty tomb, he was visited by Jesus, the risen Lord, as we hear in today's reading from the Apocalypse. We hear about the appearance in this book of Revelation of the risen Lord to John, who tells him to write things down, to write the things that he has seen. However, we do get a hint there about what's going on. John, in the book of Revelation, is asked to write down what he saw. And Thomas, who was given the special gift to see the risen Lord, would nonetheless later be commissioned to proclaim the gospel, to teach other people, to teach, that is, those people like us who believe without seeing. The gospel is designed not to cut us apart, then, from other people. It is God's intention that the gospel be shared, that we come to faith not abstractly by believing a principle, and not by living siloed in our own lives, having our own private experience of the risen Lord. Jesus redeems us not to have private lives, but to live in communion with others, with those other disciples that he has brought in to share in his kingdom, to take part in his risen life. And so the means he communicates this good news is also by sharing. We hear, we receive the gospel of the risen Lord, and we share that gospel, that joy with others. But when we share it, we're sharing not just an idea, not just a fact, but we're sharing the new life that he has within us. And it is our prayer for each one of us that we come to encounter, through having the gospel proclaimed to us, through our proclaiming the gospel to others, a real encounter with the risen Lord, perhaps not seen with our eyes, but seen more importantly with the eyes of our hearts. And that, my brothers and sisters, is a word of hope.